Welcome into the news at 6. I'm Amanda Starantino. COVID-19 has not only taken thousands of lives here in Indiana, but countless jobs and sources of income for many Hoosiers. Unemployed and without a paycheck, many people in the state are at risk of being evicted from their homes. WRTV Investigates Stephanie Wade joins us now to explain the federal protection in place that's supposed to stop evictions, but some say it's failing to do so. Stephanie.
Amanda, a new study finds up to 250,000 people are at risk of being evicted right now in Indiana. 150,000 evictions are expected to be filed by January. Now, despite the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention issuing a national moratorium on evictions a month ago to try to prevent this, WRTV Investigates found evictions are still happening as we speak. Many people questioning how.
So I guess this will be going to storage.
Toy Pollard.
The hard thing about it is not knowing where, how much stuff that you need on a daily basis to survive.
And her children are packing up.
It is so sad for them. And they're the real victims.
They're facing eviction in the middle of a pandemic.
I think it's inhuman. They know what's going on right now. And unfortunately, people like me, we don't have a lot of resources or anybody we can turn to.
A single mom, domestic violence survivor, and working as a certified nursing assistant when COVID-19 hit. She stopped working to take care of her children.
There's so much stuff going on. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Patrick Vick is also at risk of being evicted.
The fact that we're all about to crash out of the economy and be homeless is mind-boggling to me.
He was working at a software company doing tech support.
This is where I lost the job on the 17th.
But was let go when businesses first shut down in March. The company tried to bring him back a few months later, but couldn't.
I lost the same job twice due to COVID. I have to smile or I'll cry. Yeah.
Leaving both tenants with no income and no way to pay their rent. But then a glimmer of hope, despite Governor Eric Holcomb's decision to not extend Indiana's eviction moratorium beginning August 14th, which was keeping them in their homes. The CDC imposed one of its own nationwide. The federal moratorium, which took effect September 4th, aims to avoid mass evictions and contain the spread of the coronavirus. Tenants just have to print and sign a declaration form from the CDC's website. But not everyone qualifies for this blanket protection. You must have, quote, used best efforts to obtain all available government assistance for rent or housing, earn no more than $90,000 a year, are unable to pay rent due to substantial loss of income or hours of work, and are using best efforts to make partial payments.
I emailed them and I said, based on that declaration, I do believe I qualify.
Vic, seemingly meeting all of the criteria.
I have the documents right here.
He alerted his landlord, but they still moved to evict him. Are evictions still being filed?
Yes. And there are a number of reasons.
Nationwide, there's been much confusion in how each state, each judge is handling this moratorium. Many evictions still moving forward despite the federal order. What we are now seeing popping up across the country and right here in Marion County are landlords filing for eviction under non-payment, losing because of the CDC order, but then refiling their case as what's called a holdover eviction. If during the now 7-month COVID period, someone's lease has also expired. Take this case in Wayne Township, where the tenant won protection and was granted to stay on September 22nd, but then 2 days later, the landlord refiled for a holdover eviction. If this continues to happen, experts say a significant amount of renters are still at risk of eviction.
Anything that can keep someone in a safe home and out of an unhoused situation, out of homelessness, is good, is important. Whether or not it's available to everyone is where it falls short.
Now, at the same time, while tenants are struggling, so are the landlords, property owner advocates say. Put in scary situations with mortgages, maintenance, property taxes, utilities to keep up of their own.
If property owner is unable to meet these financial obligations, the property becomes at risk of foreclosure. So that's been very problematic for our industry.
The president of the Indiana Apartment Association tells me the rate for overdue rent has been as high as 24%, when it typically run 1 to 2% before the pandemic. If landlords can't pay their bills, this order could jeopardize the very homes and renters it intends to save.
My question is, why me?
So what now?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Now, the Apartment Association feels there needs to be more rental assistance issued by the government because even at the end of this moratorium, all that rent is still owed. We tried speaking with a landlord for this story, and we'd still like to hear from anyone willing to share how this issue is impacting them. As for the two renters we spoke with, we put them in touch with the Neighborhood Christian Legal Clinic. It's a free clinic that anyone watching this at home right now can utilize as well. For Ms. Pollard, she did not meet the CDC requirements for protection, the eviction citing another issue that came into play. But for Mr. Vick, with the help from the legal clinic, he was able to avoid eviction. He's safe to stay in his apartment through the end of the year. Amanda.
And Stephanie, that's good to hear about Mr. Vick, but obviously this is a confusing issue.
It's very confusing, and the courts are handling each eviction filing very differently. The biggest issue and what advocates are most worried about is if leases expire, which many are right now. As you can imagine, the pandemic shut the state down back in March, and it's now 7 months later. And if that means people are no longer protected under this moratorium, many people could be kicked out of their homes very soon here, up to that 250,000 number, as that study finds. Amanda, back to you.
Stephanie, thank you for your reporting on that topic.